end by moving. I respectfully move that in view of its constitutional infirmities and questions on the jurisdiction and authority of the 20th Congress, the verified impeachment complaint against Vice President Sara Duterte be dismissed.
Yes.
Mr. President, since I have still the floor, I would like to call Senator Bongo. Mr. President.
Mr. President, will the good gentleman yield the floor for a few remarks?
Authority of the 20th Congress, the verified impeachment complaint against Vice President Sara Duterte be dismissed.
Yes. Woo! Yes.
President, since I have still the floor, I would like to call Senator Bongo. Mr. President.
Mr. President,
Yes.
will the good gentleman
Yes.
yield the floor for a few remarks as part of the privilege hour availed by Senator De La Rosa?
Ito na po. Ito na po ang inintay natin. I-dismiss na nila. Yes! Yes! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go!
Yes, Mr. President. No problem with me. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. President, I agree with the speech of Senator Bato de la Rosa. Ang gusto nating kalabasan ng paglilitis na ito ay justisya.
Senator Go, before you proceed, Chair has not yet recognized the session is suspended.
Yes. Yan ang sinasabi natin dyan, mga kareaksyon. Kinabahan na po sila. Nag-move na po. Nag-move na po si Senator De La Rosa. Tapos na, nag-move na po. Nag-move na po si Senator De La Rosa. Magkakaroon na po ng burdagulan dito, mga kareaksyon. Ito ang inihintay nating matagal na. Nag-move na po, mga kareaksyon. Nag-move na, mga kareaksyon. Antayin po ninyo yung follow-up sa video na ito, mga kareaksyon. Antayin po ninyo yung follow-up sa video niyo. Napakaganda po ng ginawa ni Senator Bato de la Rosa. Talagang pinanatan na po niya. Winasak na niya ang impeachment na ito, mga kareaksyon. Hintayin po ninyo yung kasunod na video na ito, mga kareaksyon. Hintayin ninyo.
Ronald Bato de la Rosa is seeking the floor for us. He would like to deliver privilege speech.
What is the pleasure of the honorable?
Mr. President.
Before recognizing the Honorable De La Rosa, Senator Pimentel is raising his hand. What is the pleasure of the Honorable Pimentel?
Shouldn't we, in good faith, implement the approved motion from yesterday, Mr. President? That at 4 o'clock, we should be taking our oath as senator judges. And then we'll give way to the privilege speech, Mr. President. So that was the motion approved by the body yesterday.
Majority Leader.
Yes, Mr. President, we will be honoring that what was agreed upon yesterday, but this is a personal collective privilege, and any member of this August body can just stand up and avail of this collective of this privilege hour, Mr. President.
No, I don't think so, Mr. President. This is a privilege speech. This is a privilege speech. This is not a privilege motion. So my motion is to execute and implement what was agreed upon yesterday. At 4 o'clock in the afternoon, we take our oath.
Senator,
I make of record the time. It's 4:31 p.m. Mr. President.
Senator De La Rosa.
Yeah, Mr. President, it was very clear.
Na ano po, mga ka-reaction, mag-interject lang ako dito. Natatakot po si Coco Pimentel na baka meron pong sasabihin si Bato de la Rosa na i-dismiss na po itong impeachment proceeding na ito. Kaya natatakot itong si Coco na ipagpatuloy ipagpatuloy at pagbigyan si Senator Bato de la Rosa na magkaroon ng privilege fee. Di ba, Coco? Takot ka, di ba? Takot! Takot si Coco! Takot si Coco! Takot si Coco! Di ba? Naniniwala po ba kayong takot?
Kuko, bayaran sa US, bayaran sa US, kuko, pimintil, bayaran ka, kaya takot ka, bayaran di umano, bayaran kuko pimintil, bayaran di umano. Bayaran di umano. Kaya takot ka. Koko pimentel. Kaya takot ka. Ha? Bakit matatakot ka? Bakit ka matatakot? Bakit naatat kayong itutuloy ang impeachment? Anong value doon? Klarong-klaro naman na hindi na dapat ipagpatuloy yan sapagkat maraming dapat i-impeach yan sa confidential na yan. Yan si Escudero, i-impeach mo rin yan. Pero hindi naman, kasi kakampi natin si Escudero eh. Di ba? Takot ang mga animal. Oy! Bakit ka takot, Pimentel? Bayaran ka kasi, di ba? Yun ang chismis flies around us. Hearsay lang naman yun. Pero bakit takot ka? Anong makukuha mo dyan? Pag umpug-umpugin mo ang mga malaking na i-impeach mo, pag away-awayin mo ang malaking official sa bansang Pilipinas, tama ba yun? Tama ka ba, Pimentel? Tanungin kita. Di ba? Bakit gusto mong pag-umpug-umpugin? Takot siya. Reaksyon, di ba?
Takot si Coco sa privilege fee ni Bato de la Rosa.
Sorry na, shoutout.
I-comment po niyo sa
Like,
comment section mga
share.
karyaso. Tuloy na po natin. Tuloy na.
Tuloy.
na natin. Tuloy. Takot si Coco.
Yesterday that we agreed that before I take my oath as member of the impeachment court, I should have delivered my privilege speech. That's why I made it a precondition to my approval or to my agreement to the motions yesterday that I'm willing to take oath as a member of the impeachment court, provided let me first deliver my privilege speech. And very clear, it was agreed by the minority
No,
leader.
no,
yesterday.
Mr. President, no. It was stressed the convening of the court. That was the issue. And the agreement natin, the oath taking is
Pimentel.
not the convening of the court. That's very clear, Mr. President.
Several members are raising their hands. May I first acknowledge our majority floor leader, Senator Tolentino.
Ayan po mga ka-reaction. Nakita po natin talagang takot na takot si Coco na magsalita po itong si...
Ako, para sa akin, kahit natuloy yan, hindi naman talaga ma-convict si Inday Sara Duterte. Kasi, first of all, hindi naman si Inday Sara Duterte na natakot kasi gusto nga niya bloodbath, di ba? Ngunit, tigilan nyo na yan. Kasi nga, unahin yung ekonomiya, mga buang kayo. Tuloy.
Senator Bato de la Rosa, nakaka-excite po no? Nakaka-excite itong sitwasyon na ito. Natatatakot si Coco Pimentel na magkakaroon na ng botohan ngayon at madismiss na yung punyetang
Takot Pimentel na madismiss ang punitang yan. Ang punitang yan, madismiss na. Takot si Pimentel, gunggong ka. Walang galang po. Bakit ka takot? Bayad ka ba sa USA, di umano? Huy! Wala mo kaming ebidensya. Pero there's chismis flies around us. Nangialam di umano ang US, napunduhan ng iba dito. Ano magkano? Di ba? Dati ano to eh, 230 to eh. Bakit biglang bago to si Pimentel? Tuloy.
Impeachment na yan. Takot si Coco.
Takot si Coco.
Thereafter, our Deputy Minority Floor Leader, Senator Ontiveros. Senator Tolentino may proceed.
With the permission of the gentleman. Mr. President, let me remind the gentleman that yesterday this representation moved to expunge from the records the word agreement precisely because this representation would want that all matter that arose yesterday should be express stipulations coming from the mandate of the Constitution. Yung agreement po siguro inalis na natin to reflect the solemnness of the proceedings yesterday. So, kung ano po yun na pag-usapan, Mr. President, siguro yung dalawang ginoon na lamang muli ang magkasundo, pero the record should not reflect the word agreement. Yun po lang yung sinasabi ko, Mr. President. Maraming salamat po.
Mr.
Noted.
President,
Senator,
this
prior
is,
to...
this is important because it's related. So, what I'm asking
Senator
to be...
Pimentel, you may proceed.
What I'm asking to be enforced is the motion approved already, Mr. President. So we had approved by the plenary. A motion was approved by the plenary. So yun lang.
Ayan po, na takot po si Coco Pimentel. Ayaw niya pong mag-privilege speech si Senator Bato de la Rosa dahil i-elect po siya niya, tatapusin na niya dito. Ayaw niya, pinipilit ni Coco. Bitter ka pa rin, Coco. Bitter ka pa rin.
Senator Ontiveros is recognized.
Ako. Virus na naman. Dapat din
I second the motion of the minority leader, Mr. President. The motion to implement the approved motion. Napakahirap naman po magpatupad ng ganyang kasimple.
Magbayad ka muna sa
President,
PhilHealth.
Under Section 3 of our Rules of Procedure on Impeachment Trials,
Isa pa po itong si
Virus
Lisa
ito.
Ontiveros. Ayaw nila talagang magsalita si Senator Bato de la Rosa dahil tsutsukiin na niya yung impeachment.
Takot sila eh.
Ayaw niya, mga takot.
the presiding officer shall administer the prescribed oath or affirmation to the members of the Senate then present, and to the other members as they shall appear, whose duty it shall be to take the same. So yung wala po o yung hindi pa po pagkasumpa ng ibang mga senador, hindi naman po hadlang sa mga present ngayon at manunumpa ngayon para magsimulang tuparin yung tungkulin namin bilang miyembro ng impeachment court. Kung nais po ng good gentleman from Davao mag-deliver ng privilege speech ngayon, maari namang pong ituloy na po yung pagpapatupad ng agreed motion kahapon, manumpa kaming lahat na iba sa inyo bilang presiding officer, and then pakinggan po natin ang privilege speech ng good gentleman from Davao, at pagkatapos kung nais niya ay pwedeng manumpa na ayon dito sa ating rules of impeachment, Mr. President. So sinusugundahan ko po yung motion ng minority leader na gawin na po natin yung approved motion kahapon. Salamat po, Mr. President.
Chair would like to make some remarks before acknowledging Senator De La Rosa. There was a prior motion made by the majority floor leader. There is no motion to second as of yet because we first have to dispose of the first motion made by the majority leader with respect to the recognition of Senator Bato. But we note the manifest. We will consider and take note of the remarks of Senator Ontiveros as a manifestation for the meantime. Now, the movement is here. The person who made the motion yesterday, perhaps.
Yan, magbihis na
when I
kayo.
suspend session, you can discuss
Magbihis
it,
na
but
para
for
makaano
the
na.
record, there is no attempt whatsoever, and kindly, I hope people will refrain from making insinuations that there is an intent not to proceed with what was agreed upon yesterday simply because of the time. Because I was here at 4 p.m. and I waited until we had enough numbers for a quorum. And we will proceed as scheduled with respect to that. So whether Senator Bato, as will be discussed when we suspend, will speak first, or we will do what is being suggested by the minority floor leader. In either case, both will be done today. So before I recognize the movement, Chair will suspend the session so that you can discuss. Session is suspended.
Sikat si ano dito.
Isa pa,
Sikat dito
mga
si
ka-reaction, isa
Escudero.
pa pong problema natin yan. Pag ganyan po sinususpend nila ang session na ganyan, magkakaroon pa ng chu-chu-chu-chu-chu-chu-chu yan. Mag-uusap-usap pa po yan mga ka-reaction. Yan po ang iniiwasan natin dyan. Kaya po itong si top notcher sa bar, top notcher, si Coco, alam po niya yan eh. Alam po niya yan saan papunta si Bato de la Rosa. Kaya kahit anong gawin ni Coco,
Kukuk!
you will go down in history
Kukuk Pimentel!
with no what,
Kukuk!
nothing.
Kukuk!
Di ba mga ka-reaction?
Sige lang,
Kasi
Kukuk.
mga ka-reaction, bitter pa yan si Coco. Pagdating dyan sa PDP laban,
Kukuk!
hindi pa niya masikmura.
PDP yan si
Dahil
Kukuk
yung
dati.
tatay niya, ang ano dyan, yung
Kukuk!
kagalang-galang na late Nene Pimentel. Siya yung founder ng PDP. Na kinalaban yung administrasyong Marcos Jr. Na ngayon, si
Kampi.
Coco, ang kanyang asawa ba o pangalawang asawa, ay appointed siya ni Bongbong Marcos. Kaya naman
Dalawa asawa niyang hayop niya.
pagsukli. Pagsukli ba yung Coco? Tanong lang, Coco. Naku, Coco, you will go down in history as what? As what, Coco? Loser, talunan sa Marikina. Talunan kung saan ka nang galing sa Mindanao ba yan o Visayas. Kung hindi lang sa Pangulong Duterte, wala ka dyan.
Wala, along na yan.
Kaya naman,
Parehas lang yan. Tiberos.
dahil nga yan, wala ka na dahil nga, alam mo na,
Mga gonggong yung mga yan.
mahirap kasi, Coco eh, mahirap yan eh, di ba? O di ba mga reaction, kaya tingnan po natin kung kaya natin shortcutin ha. Tingnan natin. Naka-recess pa ba hanggang ngayon? Naka-recess pa? O, naka-recess pa po hanggang ngayon? O, di ba? Kaya naman mga reaction, naniniwala po ba kayo na itong si Coco ay takot? Takot po sa sasabihin at ipapahayag ni Senator Bato de la Rosa na basura na yan. Di ba mga reaction? Yan na po ha.
Babasura na talaga dapat yan.
The minority leader.
may I just
Diyan naman si...
offer some voice of
ano?
experience? Actually, sinabi na to ni SP, pero I'll just elaborate. But let me start out by saying, I understand why the minority leader stood up. Yes, minority at mas konti sila, but they have a role to play. It's not only a very important role today, it's an essential role. It's not only a role in our legislative session, it's a role in holding the second highest person in our government accountable. They have fought for that not just yesterday, but the minority leader, despite
Mahirap to
running
si
for
Cayetano,
Congress,
minsan
have
kakampi.
continued in Tagalog, tinutukan to. And in fact, I have to apologize to him. Medyo mas tama ka na yung
Kamuti mo to,
forfeit
shout
means
out.
agad. Pero tinignan ko na yung Filipino version, isusunod agad. In that context, makikiusap ako sa minority leader. We've been here long enough dun sa atin na 3-4 terms na pag nag-argue kung sinong una, tatagal tayo ng 1-2 oras, walang mauuna.
Minsan
So
kakampi to,
kung
minsan
gagawin
hindi.
natin yung forthwith today, ibig sabihin isusunod agad. I looked at the rules, no? Sabi po kasi talaga pagka personal privilege, pwede mauna. But ang sabi nga ni minority leader and backed up by the deputy
Pwede mo
minority
na.
leader,
Pwede mo na yung ano.
we know how
Privilege speech
important
ni
the
Bato.
impeachment court is. So may I ask a further favor indulgence from the minority leader that we allow Senator Bato so that we also do not violate. We're going to violate 1 or 2 things today. Violate the agenda, dahil sa agenda talaga mag-oath taking, or violate our rules, dahil sabi sa rules, anytime pwede kang tumayo sa personal privilege. So may we ask for the indulgence ng minority to allow Senator Bato to deliver his speech because binanggit niya to sa akin kahapon. Kung ako nagkulang, pasensya na po kayo dahil ang pakiusap niya kahapon, bago mag-oath, magsasalita siya. So if we can allow him, then with the permission of the majority leader, I'll volunteer you to forthwith immediately, agad-agad move na we take our oath as
Yan, kasi nag-oath na
members
eh.
of the
Di
impeachment
ba?
court.
Pag nag-oath na, forthwith kagad yun. At nakaprocess naman na. Si Bato nag-oath na. So, pwede na siya mag-speech. Oh, bakit hinaharangan ni Pimintol? Pimintol! Tol-tol! Pimintol!
If it's acceptable to the minority leader.
Yun.
Kakampi natin
Mga
ngayon si Cayetano.
kareaksyon. Dapat ganun po mga kareaksyon. Hindi si Coco Pimentel at Timano, mainit ang dating niya eh. Gumugulo ko agad ang kanyang
Mayroon naman ng palang paraan eh.
Huwag ganun sir. Idol po
Forthwith.
naman kita.
Basta,
Kaya lang.
nagka-out na siya, no?
Wala po top na chair.
Yan nga, forthwith, dahil naka-out na si Bato na magiging, siya ang kinatawan ng impeachment. So, yun ang ibig sabihin na i-forfeit mo dahil nakaprocess naman. Panumpa naman si Bato. So, kailangan salitain si Bato. Takot si Pimentel kasi i-dismiss nga ni Bato. Nalata nila. Oo, tuloy.
Pero ako hindi.
It's not the perfect solution, sir, but I hope it's acceptable.
Kapay natin siya ngayon. Cayetano.
What does the minority leader say?
Basically, Mr. President, we will agree to the suggestion of Senator Alan Cayetano. Pero ito lang yung point ko for those of you still present or serving in the 20th Congress. there is a purpose, meron tayong agenda. So when you are in number 7 for privilege speech, you cannot just stand up and then accelerate your the tackling.
Palagay ko mga reaksyon, palagay ko po, Senator Coco, palagay ko yung takot mo talaga yung gusto mo magpasigat kay Bongbong Marcos at gusto mong ipakita na talagang
Kakampi na siya.
dedicated ka sa trabaho mo, saludo ako sa'yo. Pero palagay ko mas malaking takot mo na may basura ng impeachment.
Gunggong talagang pimintin na ito.
Ito mga reaksyon ako sa mag-interject lang ako.
Of your item in the session, Mr. President, by just standing up. So, ano lang po yun, just an observation. So, with that, I willingly give way to our colleague with this important message for us, Mr. President.
Oo, nag-give na siya.
We thank Senator Pimentel, also thank Senator Cayetano. Sana mas madalas-dalas siya dito. Hindi ikaw, Coco, si Alan. And also for the record, I'd like to assure our minority floor leader and deputy minority floor leader that we will
Minority floor leader.
the chair would rather preside over the oath taking of members of the impeachment court today. Before we adjourn, the clock not with standing to give way to the privileged speech of the Honorable De La
69
Rosa,
likes, share,
because
subscribers.
the Senate, after all, is a deliberative body. Everyone should be free to say their piece, subject to certain limitations, of course.
73 likes, share, subscribers.
And we are free to agree or disagree. And if the matter cannot be settled, for it to be put to vote. If there are no other members who wish to state their piece on the matter, Chair now recognizes Senator Bato de la Rosa. You may proceed, sir.
Yes!
Thank you, Mr. President.
Yan na! Bugno
Mr.
na!
President, esteemed colleagues,
Gugno na ating mga
ladies and
colleagues.
gentlemen. Imagine a house, Mr. President, an unfinished one. One that is still being built. Where do we begin? Of course, with solid foundations.
Yun, may nagawa rin si
A
Bato.
level ground, as well as an honest blueprint. Ang mga shortcut. Hindi pwedeng madaliin kung babaliwalain ng mga architects at mga engineers ang mga basic requirements. Hindi magiging matibay
Ang pundasyon.
ang itatayong bahay.
Yes. Ito yung bahay.
Maaari
Pundasyon
itong
ito yung bahay.
magdulot ng panganib,
Correct.
hindi lamang sa mga maninirahan dito,
Correct.
kundi maging sa ibang mga kabahayan sa paligid nito.
Correct.
If any of us happen to discover that the house we were living in was structurally unsound, we would likely scramble to have it retrofitted. We would probably file cases in anger against developers. I doubt any of us would simply shrug our shoulders, saying, andito na tayo eh. Hayaan na lang. Now, imagine a house of representatives that built and filed the impeachment complaints against Vice President Sara Zimmerman
Duterte.
Trabahong inupuan sa simula. At noong papalapit na ang deadline, biglang naging buzzer beater. Mabilisang pinasa sa atin at ngayon tayo naman ang pinipilit at minamadali.
Yun! Tama!
Pinapagalitan pa nga. That is your sworn duty. Tama na ang pamumulutika. This is undue delay. Sandali. Bakit kaya sa pagkakataon at pangyayaring ito, tila madali lang para sa atin ang sabing, andito na tayo eh. Andyan na nga eh. Mr. President, the House of Representatives are of the belief that they have built a solid case against Vice President
No!
Sara Zimmerman Duterte.
Yun! Didn't build a solid case against Sara Duterte. Why? Pang-apat na yan. Pangalawa, minamadali nila. Sarado ng Senado. Once the Senate is adjourned, the Congress also adjourn na yun. Wala na yung kwenta yung ano ninyo. Yung pinail yung kaso doon sa House, yung impeachment na yun na minamadali ninyo. Wala na. Suko na kayo. Kasi yung speech ni Bato, katatay digong yan.
Prompting them to file an impeachment case. But how sound are the foundations of this impeachment case filed against the Vice President? Kagaya po ng konstruksyon ng isang bahay, ang proseso ng impeachment ay kinakailangan na nakatungtong sa isang solidong pundasyon.
Correct.
Ibig sabihin, ang mga arkitekto na pasimuno nito ay may tungkulin na tiyakin na may tatayuan ang kanilang mga akusasyon.
Correct.
Ngunit, ang impeachment ay isang proseso na hindi nakasalalay lamang sa mga arkitekto o mga instigador nito.
Correct.
Sa totoo lang, pinakamadali ang naging gampanin ng HOR sa proseso ng impeachment. Yun ay ang pagbubuo ng mga akusasyon, Mr. President, kahit sino po ay maaring magparatang kung kanino man. Sa bahagi naman po natin, ang pinakamahirap, ang paghusga, ang paggawad ng isang hatol na makatarungan at katanggap-tanggap. Anuman ang nakatuntong sa mahinang pundasyon ay laging may panganib na gumuho. Kung ang isang impeachment case ay minadali at nakasandig sa paghihiganti at pamumulitika,
Yun! Pamumulitika lang. Talagang walang concrete pundasyon ang Kongres. Minabadali ninyo. Tuloy.
ay may halintulad sa isang strukturang itinayo sa gilid ng bangin.
Correct.
Bagamat tungkulin
112
o
lectures of
obligasyon natin sa Senado na mag-convene bilang impeachment court. Responsibilidad din natin na maging mapanuri at critical sa impeachment complaint na ipinasa rito sa ating bulwagan. As I usher in my 6th year in the Senate, my 39th year in public service, Mr. President, I can say I have gotten better at spotting irony. What we refuse to let happen to our houses, we seem to have allowed our House of Representatives to do in broad daylight, right under our noses, and at the expense of our institution's esteemed reputation. With this, Mr. President, my dear colleagues, allow me to express my serious concerns surrounding the constitutionally unsound foundation of the articles of impeachment that the Senate is set to tackle. Article 11, Section 3, Paragraph 2 of the 1987 Philippine Constitution provides that
Grabe na to.
a verified complaint for impeachment may be filed by any member of the House of Representatives or by any citizen upon a resolution of endorsement by any member thereof, which shall be included in the order of business within 10 session days and referred to the proper committee within 3 session days thereafter. Keeping in mind the aforementioned constitutional provision, recall that on December 2, 2024, the first impeachment complaint against Vice President Duterte was filed before the Secretary General of the House of Representatives. The second and third impeachment complaints were filed on December 4, 2024 and
74 likes and
December
subscribers.
19, 2024, respectively. These complaints were each endorsed by members of the House of Representatives. While the Constitution requires that a complaint for impeachment must be included in the order of business within 10 session days, the House of Representatives Rules of Procedure in impeachment proceedings require the Secretary General to immediately refer the complaints to the Speaker. Despite this, no action was ever taken by the House on the 3 impeachment complaints filed. Hindi po ito simpleng pagkalimot, Mr. President. Ito po ay tahasang pagsantabi ng kanilang internal rules at constitutional provision. Sinadya po nila na baliwalain ang konstitusyon. Maliwanag po ito sa mga naging panayam kay House Secretary General Velasco. In media interviews, the Secretary General publicly disclosed that the members of the majority of the House of Representatives asked him to withhold the transmittal of the impeachment complaints to the Speaker. Their goal then was to give themselves more time to decide whether or not to file another impeachment complaint. Pinaghintay po ng mayorya ng House of Representatives ang 3 impeachment complaint. May ganyan po ba silang kapangyarihan? Tila po. Ito ay matatawag na grave abuse of discretion.
Correct.
Then, on February 5, 2025, more than 2 months after the first impeachment complaint was filed, the House of Representatives took the express the fast track route according to Secretary General Velasco. Kung ang tatlong naunang impeachment complaint ay pinadaan sa EDSA, mukhang sa Skyway po ang piniling landas ng House para sa pang-apat na impeachment complaint para maiuwi ito sa Senado. With less than an hour before the close of session of that day, the House of Representatives transmitted to the Senate a verified complaint for impeachment against Vice President Sara Z. Duterte, purportedly signed by 215 members of the House of Representatives. My honored colleagues, had the House complied with their own rules
No.
and the Constitution, the three previous impeachment complaints
Yes.
would have been referred to the appropriate committee by the time the present impeachment complaint was filed and sponsored by the members of the House of Representatives. In other words, Your Honors, the intentional inaction of the House of Representatives allowed its members to purportedly circumvent the one-year ban enshrined in Article 11, Section 3, Paragraph 5 of the Constitution. Given the glaring circumvention of the Constitution, should we allow impeachment complaints which are constitutionally infirm to be heard and tried by this body? Kung defective po ang foundation ng impeachment complaint, marirepair o marirehabilitate ba ito ng pag-convene ng impeachment court? Hindi po ba mawawala ng saysay ang pag-convene ng Senate as an impeachment court kung malinaw na labag sa konstitusyon ang nais nating itayo?
Correct.
Kaya ang impeachment
Manindigan
ay
ka dyan,
isang
Escudero.
sensitibong proseso. Sa pagsampa pa lamang nito, binabato na agad ang akusado ng putik na kahit maakwit ay tila habang buhay nang nakamansa sa kanyang pagkatao. Pagkatapos ng impeachment, anuman ang magiging hatol, the damage done to the reputation of the accused will forever be irreparable. He or she will never be the same again. Some of the members of this august body may not agree with me and may take a different view as to whether the one-year ban has been violated by the House of Representatives. To settle this issue, the separate opinion of Chief Justice Renato Ispuno in Francisco versus House of Representatives provides this body a direction on the course of action that we may take when confronted with the same issue I laid down. Former Chief Justice Puno said that before the Senate is convened as an impeachment court, the Senate, which has primary jurisdiction over the case, can already decide the question on whether the one-year ban has been violated or not. That is why insisting ako na ma-deliver ito before we convene as an impeachment court. Hindi po natin kailangang hintayin magbagong anyo ang Senado at maging isang ganap na impeachment court. Ngayon pa lamang ay maaari na nating pagdesisyonan ito. Sumunod ba sa saligang batas at sa internal rules ng mababang kapulungan ang impeachment complaint na kanilang ipinasa dito sa Senado? Nasa Senado po ang pagkakataon upang magwasto.
Correct.
Kung minadali ng isuar ang impeachment complaint, bakit kailangan natin itong tumbasan ng kaparehong kawalang pagpapahalaga sa tamang proseso? Madalas po natin sabihin dito sa ating kapulungan, we are men and women of rules. Manatili po tayong ganun, malayo mula sa ingay at impluwensya ng kung sino mang may mga personal na interes at pakinabang sa pagmamadaling ipinipilit sa atin. Mr. President, the inaction of the House of Representatives resulted not only in a possible violation of the Constitution, but in another justiciable controversy. It is worthy to note that its new Congress, empowered by a fresh electoral mandate in both the House of Representatives and the Senate, is not bound by the legislative actions of its predecessors. Hindi po natin maaaring pilitin ang mga papalit sa atin sa future congresses na ipagpatuloy ang anumang ating nasimulan. Sabi nga po ni President Chis Escudero kahapon, the Congress cannot pass an irrepealable law. Lahat ay pwedeng baguhin at galawin ng mga sumusunod na mahahalal sa Kongreso. Maari pong hindi sila gumalaw at hayaan lamang na nakatiwangwang ang anumang proceeding na sinisimulan ng mga nauna. When the fourth impeachment complaint was submitted, the 19th Congress was teetering on the brink of a long slumber. The Senate is now being urged to convene with only 2 session days. 20 days remaining before the 19th Congress closes. Hindi man po ako abogado, alam ko pong walang kaso, mapasibil, administrative o kriminal na dinidinig sa loob lamang ng isang buwan. Naghihingalo na po ang buhay ng 19th Congress. Bakit po natin ipipilit pa kung ang pintuan ng 20th Congress ay malapit nang magbukas? Malinaw naman po sa ating Rules of Procedure on Impeachment Trials, kailangang isumon ang person impeached para paharapin sa Senado. Kailangan din siyang bigyan ng 10 araw para mag-submit ng kanyang answer. 5 araw naman ang ibinibigay sa mga prosecutor para mag-file ng kanilang reply. Kaya po, kahit mag-convene ng impeachment court bukas, summon at pagtanggap lamang sa pleadings ang kayang magawa ng 19th Congress. Sigurado na po tayo na ang trial kasama ang pagrepresenta ng ebidensya ay magaganap sa 20th Congress, kung saan bago na po ang komposisyon ng Senado at mababang kapuluan. Because of the change in members, questions are being raised on the jurisdiction of the twin Congress to carry on with an impeachment trial commenced in the previous Congress. Should the 19th Congress convene an impeachment court, what assurance exists that the 20th Congress would continue the trial? Without such assurance, any effort by the 19th Congress would constitute a significant waste of government resources. In fact, some of those who signed the complaint, ang impeachment complaint na ginawa ng 19th Congress, House of Representatives. Mr. President, the constitutionally given power and mandate of the Senate to try and decide all cases of impeachment is an immense responsibility that must be exercised in good faith, with sincere intention to fulfill a solemn oath, not with haste, but with careful circumspection, mindful of both the political and legal nature of the exercise. Ang impeachment ay isang proseso na hindi lamang mag-aalis sa pwesto ng isang mataas na opisyal ng pamahalaan. Ito ay isang armas laban sa sinuman na hindi umaayon sa kagustuhan at mga interes na mga kaaway sa politika.
Hi, darling
Ito ay
Grace.
apoy na hindi lamang nakapapasok, kundi may kakayahan
Asmin, kaya
na
shoutout.
tupukin at sunugin. Hindi lamang ang isang bahay, kundi isang buong komunidad. Mapanganib ang impeachment sa kamay
50 likes or
ng
subscribers.
mga mapagsamantala.
Correct.
Inilalagay ang impeachment para protektahan ang taong bayan, hindi isakdal at hiyain ang kumakatawan sa kanila. In the 2012 case of Chief Justice Renato C. Corona versus Senate of the Philippines, the Supreme Court declared impeachment described as the most formidable weapon in the
Amazing.
arsenal of democracy, was foreseen as creating divisions, partialities,
Creating division.
and enmities, or
Pambihira.
highlighting
Formidable.
pre-existing factions, with the greatest danger that the decision will be regulated more by the comparative strength of parties than by the real demonstrations of innocence or guilt. The House of Representatives, in transmitting the articles of impeachment to the Senate at the last, and after refusing to act for over 2 months on 3 previously filed complaints pending with the House Secretary General, has instead placed the Senate in a tight and impaired position where any decision, action, or inaction on his part will be put into question. An acquittal, conviction, or even the propriety of proceeding with trial will be hounded not only by legal or constitutional questions, but by accusations of extreme bias, partiality, and lack of sufficient deliberation. Lagi kong sinasabi, Mr. President, hindi ako abogado. Nevertheless, this cannot disqualify me from speaking against possible constitutional blunders. Hindi kailangan maging engineer para masabi ng isang tao na unlivable at hindi ligtas ang isang bahay o building. Alam nyo, alam natin, kung kailan matibay at pulido ang pagkakagawa katulad ng isang bahay na bato.
Bato de la
Alam
Rosa.
din natin kung kailan hindi. When the floor starts to crack, when the walls begin to shift, and when leaks appear where there should be none, there and then, Mr. President, there and then, forthwith, we say, this was not built well. Gayon din sana sa impeachment case na ito. The cracks and holes have begun to show. Alam nating may mga tanong na hindi pa nasasagot. Lalo na patungkol sa constitutional soundness ng nasabing impeachment complaint. It is my humble opinion then, Mr. President, that with this knowledge must come swift and intelligent action. Kung gaano natin kabilis i-condemn at ipagiba ang mga strukturang hindi ginawa ng maayos, ganoon din dapat tayo kabilis umaksyon kung ang nalalagay sa alanganin ay ang ating konstitusyon. In the spirit of true action, therefore, allow me to end by moving.
Yun na!
I respectfully move that in view of its constitutional infirmities and questions on the jurisdiction and authority of the 20th Congress, the verified impeachment complaint against Vice President Sara Zimmerman Duterte
Move to
be
trust!
dismissed.
Yan! Dismiss! Dismiss!
Since I have still the floor, I would like to call Senator Bongo, Mr. President.
Mr. President,
Yes!
will the good gentleman
Yes.
yield the floor for a few remarks as part of the privilege hour availed by Senator De La Rosa?
Ito na po.
Tapos na.
Ito na po ang iniintay natin. I-dismiss na nila. Yes! Yes! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go!
Yes, Mr. President, no problem with me. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. President, I agree with the speech of Senator Bato de la Rosa. Ang gusto nating kalabasan ng paglilitis na ito ay justisya.
Senator Go, before you proceed, Chair has not yet recognized the session is suspended.
Yes! Yan ang sinasabi natin dyan mga kareaksyon. Kinabahan na po sila. Nag-move na po Nag-move na po si Senator De La Rosa.
Dismiss na!
Tapos
Dismiss!
na, nag-move na po.
Dismiss na!
Nag-move na po si Senator De La Rosa. Magkakaroon
Seconded-
na po ng
seconded by
pagkakulan dito mga kareaksyon.
Bungko. Wala
Ito
na.
ang inihintay nating matagal na. Nag-move na po mga kareaksyon. Nag-move na mga kareaksyon. Antayin po ninyo yung follow-up sa video na ito mga kareaksyon. Antayin po ninyo yung follow-up sa video nyo. Napakaganda po ng ginawa ni Senator Bato de la Rosa. Talagang pinanata na po niya. Winasak na niya
Winasak na
impeachment
talaga.
na ito mga kareaksyon.
Yun.
Hintayin po ninyo yung kasunod na video na ito mga kareaksyon. Hintayin po ninyo, hintayin ninyo.
Yun. Diba? Yun. 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 Yun.
Mr. President, Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa is seeking the floor for us, would like to deliver privilege speech.
What is the pleasure of the honorable?
Mr. President,
Before
Motion approved by the body yesterday.
natin pagbotohan to, ano man ang mangyari, mag-i-issue po tayo ng summon para pasagutin ang pagkakaunawa ko sa layuning ito na kinaklarify na ngayon ay para utusan ng Kamara na magsumite ng paliwanag at pagbayan sa mga katanungan na ipinukol kanina ng ilang senator judges. Hindi po ito dismissal. Let us disabuse the minds not only of the public but of the senator judges too, that this is tantamount to a dismissal in any shape, size, or form. It is not. And that is not the understanding of the presiding officer as well.
Pero, Mr. Presiding Justice, di ba ang Tagalog po ng return ay isole?
Intayin po natin i-clarify. Pero pinapaliwanag ko nga po, ang pagkakaunawa ko at sinagot ng MUBAN ay hindi yan dismissal. Those who are against the motion, if at all, can think and say all they want that it is. But it is not, and this will soon be proven by the issuance of a summons right after the vote, regardless of the outcome.
So, Mr. Presiding Justice, hindi pwedeng baliwalain ng House of Representatives yung motion na gagawin natin. Assuming na it will be...
Utos po ng husgado yun sa Kamara na tumata yung prosecutor sa ngayon sa 19th Congress at maski na sa 20th Congress. Ito yung magiging dagdag patunay para sa presiding officer na itong kasong ito ay tatawid sa ika-20 Kongreso at hindi mamamatay sa ika-labing-7 na Kongreso.
Another clarification, I'm sorry, but I think, kasi yung unang posisyon ng ating presiding officer is we cannot compel the 20th Congress to be bound by our decisions. On the other hand, my question is, kung kunwari bukas matuloy yung trial natin at pumunta dito yung mga House prosecutors, hindi ba natin pwedeng tanungin sa kanila sa puntong yon na iklaro na nila yung mga tanong natin at tama din yung sinabi ni Senator Win na mas transparent ang sagot nila. Kasi hindi pwede yung sila-sila na nag-uusap, isasubmit sa atin. We want to see how they're able to come up with that response, and also how they're going to be defending it live with us.
That's for the 20th Congress to decide.
Why?
That was what was discussed earlier. Kaya nga po, di ba, ang paliwanag, napakahabang diskusyon at debate ito, hindi natin kayang pagpasan. Yan ang sinabi ng karamihan. Hindi tayo pwede mag-judicial notice ng mga bagay-bagay na ito. Kaya nga po, para hindi masayang oras, pinapasumitin natin sila habang wala naman tayong pwedeng gawin at magawa. Dahil nga matatapos ang otoridad ng 19th Congress sa June 30. At hindi rin pa po trial ito dahil mag-iiso pa lamang po tayo ng summons ngayong araw na ito, kung saan meron ng takdang panahon para sumagot ang nasasakdal at kung sakasakali magbigay pa ng reply ang prosecution bago po tayo pumasok dun sa presentasyon ng ebidensya ng magkabilang panig na siyang pinatutungkulan talaga ng trial. I think we should not belabor the point anymore. Senator Bato de la Rosa earlier made the motion, and Senator Pimentel required that it be put in writing. May we see it, sir, if it is ready? Lalabas. It should come out in the screen.
Mr. President,
Session is suspended.
26 likes or subscribers. Hearing suspended. Hearing suspended. A little bit. Yun na. Bulong-bulong kayo dyan, ha? Nag-uusap na sila, Peter. Saan ba tayo dito? Convict o ano? Tolentino at saka si Peter nag-uusap na. Akwit tayo.
Will now proceed to divide the House. Should anyone desire to explain their vote, you can see in the screens before you. Please raise your hand.
Wow, dami, cayetano. Lito lapid kasama. Ruben, Jaime.
All those against the motion of Senator Judge Cayetano, please raise your hand.
Antivirus lang at saka si ano. Si Pu. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lang. 3. Nangampanya ka pa Pimentel. Yes, Rapitol po.
May we get the results? With 18 affirmative votes, 5 negative votes, 0 abstention, the motion of Senator Cayetano is carried. What is the pleasure of Senator Judge Tolentino?
Mr. President, my affirmative vote, subject to my quality continuing firm stance that the acts of the 19th Congress's impeachment trial court cannot be carried over to the 20th Congress. To the number 2 paragraph of the amended Senator Judge Cayetano's motion, amending Senator De La Rosa's motion. Please have the said be part of the records of this trial court. Naniniwala po ako na hindi po talaga pwede at dapat tumawid. Mr. Presiding Officer.
Duly noted and entered into the record, Senator Estrada, Senator Judge Estrada, you may proceed, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, having previously served 2 terms in the Senate and participated in an impeachment proceeding in the past, I can confidently say that I am no longer inexperienced when it comes to handling matters related to Mr. President, Mr. President, personally, malalim po ang hugot ko sa issue ng impeachment. Dahil minsan, ang pinagdaanan namin sa mga pamilya speech ng aking ama. Dating Pangulong Joseph Estrada. Nung panahon, hindi siya nabigyan ng patas na paglilinis dahil naudlot ito bunsod ng pag-walk out ng mga miyembro ng Prosecution Panel sa nasagawang pagdidigdo ng Senado. And the rest is history. That's why I feel strongly about following each step in the Constitution. It is a sensitive matter that I take to heart. Mr. President, Mr. Presiding Officer,
La na! Basura na!
of remanding the impeachment complaint to the House of Representatives in full adherence to the provisions laid down in our Constitution. The process clearly begins in the House, and it is only proper that we respect this mandate to ensure fairness